Big ups to you people. It's Raj Groves. Believe in Chelsea FC. And you know, we like pundits, but we love grumpy pundits. And we love the great Tommy Smyth, who co-hosts, of course, with Rodney Marsh on Sirius XM Channel 157. Tommy, are you ready for a big Premier League weekend?
Oh yeah, this is a big weekend. It's surely a big weekend for Chelsea as well. And I'm kind of feeling that they're never going to get a better chance to beat City than they will get this weekend. That's the way I feel about it. I'm not sure. I didn't pick that actually. I picked a draw, which would be a good result for Chelsea, I'm sure.
Yeah, all right. Well, speaking of that, of course, it is Chelsea versus Man City. And you said never, not a better chance. You know, Tommy, in the last 10 games, Man City has 8 wins and Chelsea has scrapped up 2 draws. And you know, the last time Chelsea beat Man City was the final of the 2021 Champions League. That's the last time we beat them, Tommy.
Yeah, and well, you know, a lot of things have changed since then, Raj. I mean, City are definitely not the team that they were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Any of those years. Yeah. I mean, this is the City team that, if you're looking at it, you're saying to yourself, do those guys want to be there at all? I mean, De Bruyne, he certainly, I mean, and he did make his statement before the World Cup, if you remember, that he said he didn't want to play in the World Cup. Now, since he came back from the World Cup and then he got that injury, he doesn't look a shadow of himself. I mean, he doesn't play anything like he used to play. And Foden's is bad. I mean, Foden was having a great year last year. And then a couple of weeks ago, he got 2 goals here and he got a goal there. And you kind of said that Foden's coming back. He's not coming back. City won't have to worry about him. I mean, Chelsea won't have to worry about him. That's for sure.
Yeah. And you talk about Man City, and of course, in their last Champions League game, they were up 2-0 on PSG, and of course, they wound up losing 4-2. So I guess my question to you is, are Man City in crisis, or are they a wounded animal that's most dangerous when they're wounded? What are they right now?
Yeah, I'd say they're in crisis. You know, they've bought 3 young players who are not going to help them. I mean, they will help them eventually, but they're not going to help them this season that I would think about. And, you know, the way they're playing, I mean, Jackson is a man who probably could take great advantage of them tomorrow. And if he does, it'll be a good result. And the strangest thing about it all, Rob, is if you want to know, Chelsea are actually, Chelsea are all pretty heavy favourites at evens. City are evens and Chelsea are 2-1. So if you're betting on Chelsea, you're getting a good price, let me tell you.
Ooh, yeah, 2-1 price. We're on the road there. Now, yes, Pep mentioned after that Champions League game against PSG that kept saying PSG they're the better team. They're a better team. Is being coy with us, or does he really believe that? I mean, they were up 2-0 in that game, Man City were. So what's going on with Pep's mindset in this Man City team right now?
Yeah, well, as you probably know, Pep has a lot of domestic problems. He's getting divorced after 30 years.
I heard you and Rodney talking about that. They're living on different places. Yeah.
Yeah, his mind is in different places. I mean, some of the stuff he's come out with is not now. And I've been, you know, when I was with ESPN, I always got the Barcelona games. At that time, Pep was managing them. He's not acting like he did in those days. He's a completely different person nowadays. And, you know, I normally don't trust managers when they tell me that kind of stuff. I mean, your man Maresca keeps saying, "Oh, Chelsea can't win the championship." Well, they don't know what the hell they're doing playing it if they can. That's what you're there to do. You're there to play it to try to win it. That's another story which we'll probably get to. But you know, it's you know, and I don't know if you heard the lineup for tomorrow. Ruben Diaz is going to be missing for Chelsea. He's injured. He's not playing.
Okay.
So, I mean,
we don't have to worry about him.
No, Jackson could have a field day. I mean, Jackson could be in there. He'll do lots of space because I don't know who Pep's going to bring in to get into that place, but Jackson can certainly get into that spot. And I mean, this man that you stole from City, pardon the pun, Palmer. I mean, he's probably the best. I would say he's probably the best midfielder in the world at the moment. That would be my reading of him. He definitely has to be in the conversation. I mean, he's a brilliant player. He can do everything. He can take goals. He can take set pieces. He can win the ball for you. He can control midfield for you. There's so many things that man can do. And I'm telling you one thing, by tomorrow evening, Pep might be crying, why didn't we keep him? Why didn't we keep him? How did we let him go? That would be his war cry tomorrow, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, one thing, there is a domino effect with Palmer being so good at the 10. I feel we have 2 other 10s on the team that just don't have a place. That's Nguku and Joao Felix. Is there a place for these 2 players on Chelsea? Because, Nguku isn't a true striker. He plays better as a 10, but of course we have him. Joao Felix can play a 10, but he's not really a left winger where Chelsea are putting him. If you're Enzo Maresca, Pep Jr., so to speak, what would you do with those players? How do you make other players fit in the squad?
Well, that's that's the advantage of watching them in training every day. I mean, the Joao Felix thing was always a problem for me. I mean, they got him last year, remember, for a big amount of money, and he was only staying 6 months, and he went back to Atletico Madrid. And now the fact that Simeone didn't want him, that he let him come back and go to Chelsea, you knew that should have been red flags. And I mean, he cost a lot of money. There's no question. I mean, he's a player with a lot of ability. The problem is, how do you get it out of him? Because I've seen a couple of games where he's played and he's really been fantastic. And many other games I've seen him play and he sucked. That's about the difference. I mean, if he can find a spot for him, and you're right. I mean, where does he put him? And isn't that myself and Rodney have been arguing that for a long time, because Amorim came in and said, hey, with Man United, I have a system, they have to play it. Also, the Spurs manager, and he said the same thing. But that's not the way football's supposed to be played, in my opinion. I mean, Ancelotti, on the other hand, came out and said, okay, things are not going well for Real Madrid at the moment. I just have to figure a system where I can get these players into it. And
he put them all in.
That's the key. You're supposed to get a system that they can play in. I mean, it's not such a difficult game. When you get the ball, you control it and you pass it to somebody. I don't care what system you're in. You still can control the game. So, I mean, he has to work that out. And, tomorrow might be as good a day as any to work it out.
Oh, I like that. And speaking of Ange, he was talking about fitting all those guys in. He got them all in against Man City. Didn't he start them all against Man? Yeah. He just put them all on the pitch and said, we'll figure it out. And they figured it out.
Yeah. That's the way you have to do it. I mean, if you're saying to yourself, okay, they got to play to my system, that's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. They got to play to a system that they can fit into. You got to be there. If you're a manager, you're there for the best of the team. You're not there to show that you can manage. And that's something that Pep has been, Pep has treated a few guys pretty badly over the years, I mean, even Grealish now is getting a bad time from him. What did he get? He has 1 goal for the whole calendar year. And this is a guy that they paid $100,000 for him, 100 million for him. I mean, Are you kidding? Just because he has nice ties and he likes to get his picture taken and go in the calendar, that's not worth 100 million nowadays. So, I mean, I don't know what's wrong with City, but I definitely say that Chelsea have a chance of winning tomorrow.
I like it. Of course, we are on with the great Tommy Smyth, Grumpy Pundit. You can catch him and Rodney Marsh on channel 157 on Sirius XM. Now, Tommy, speaking of managers, so obviously Enzo Maresca has been called Pep Jr., and he's facing his former master, or whatever you will. What grade would you give Enzo Maresca this season with Chelsea?
I would give him a good grade. I don't mind his managing. I do mind his verbal after the game, I mean, he keeps saying, oh, well, no, we're not good enough to challenge for the title. Well, if players hear that long enough, it starts to get into their mind and they keep saying, oh, well, we're not good enough, but we'll go out and play anyhow. I mean, I think it has an effect on the game. Rodney agrees with me. He said if there's if the manager is, that kind of down on everybody and they can't do this and they can't do that, he said it eventually wears onto them that they're feeling that way. And they're a kind of a, if good players are a reflection of a good manager and bad players are a reflection of a bad manager, well, players who don't give a what have to be a reflection of a manager who's talking like that. And that's the only thing I don't like about him. But I fancy he's a good manager. I mean, he is a good manager. And who knows if he does. I mean, I thought, everything went well there. What did they do? They bet Leicester, they bet West Ham, they bet Ipswich, and I'm saying to myself, uh-oh, because we were asking that question. It's a question that Grumpy Pundit has last for a year. Has Chelsea turned the corner? Well, we were saying Chelsea have definitely turned the corner, but now we're trying to figure out why did it go back into reverse, because December on hasn't been good for them. I mean, they slipped up against Brentford, and well, PSG you wouldn't mind because that's a good team, but they don't look as helpless. I say this, remember last year when we talked in December, Chelsea really were on the pits. They couldn't do anything right in December. They couldn't do anything right in December. They don't look that way now. I mean, they're much improved that way, that you kind of say, okay, I kind of fancy them. The problem is that you just don't know which way they're going to play. They're kind of like Newcastle. I said that the other morning. They're like Newcastle. One day they're brilliant. Next day, nothing. Next day, brilliant. You just don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, to your point, Chelsea were in second place, just a few points behind Liverpool, when Maresca started saying, no, we're not in champions, we're not a title contender. And now we're just holding on to fourth place. We're holding on by a string.
Yeah.
But hey, Tommy, now, last time, one of the last times you were on with us, in fact, not the first times, you've been very consistent. You said still, Chelsea need a striker. You said a striker is needed. Of course, the window will close soon. Is Alexander Isak the answer for Chelsea?
He's the answer for a lot of clubs, not just Chelsea. The question is he going to go anywhere, or are they going to get him? He definitely is. I mean, if you look at the one man on Chelsea, you say to yourself, who's going to be the man? Is there somebody on Chelsea that you would fancy to get 20 goals in a season? I don't see anybody. Do you?
No.
That's the problem. And I mean, I know every team would love that, but generally a team that wins the championship will have somebody who's on 15 to 20 goals consistently. And that's not with Chelsea. So I'm still saying they need a striker. If they could get Isak, it'd be unbelievable. It'd be unbelievable. He's going to go some money. When you see the kind of money that some of these other guys are going for, oh my God, he's going to cost a fortune. Absolute fortune.
I heard anywhere from 115 to 150 he's going to go for. But
isn't that amazing?
Oh, gosh, man, it's amazing. It's amazing. Now, how about conceding goals? Is Robert Sanchez, now he gets a lot of flack. Listen, I know he gives me heart palpitations when he handles the ball with his feet, but he does make some clutch saves. So it's a mixed bag with him. Can Chelsea move forward with him, let's say next season, if they really want to be contenders? Are they going to have to go in the market for a goalie as well?
I would think they are, and I'm going to make a great suggestion to them now.
All
you
right.
can pass it along and tell them I said it.
Yeah.
Kelleher with Liverpool. There's your goalkeeper.
Okay.
Young man who, when the Liverpool keeper was out, he played fantastic. Okay, he had one bad game, and everybody got down on him. He hasn't gotten into goals since. But I'll tell you one thing: he's only a young player. He's in his 20s, and you know how long goalkeepers last. They last until their beard turns grey. So he would definitely be somebody that I would be looking at if I was Chelsea. He could fit that bill, because you can't, that's what we've discussed it many times on the show, is if you have a goalkeeper that's inconsistent and you have a goalkeeper like Onana, the guys in front of him are never confident. They're never confident that, hey, the ball's coming in for a corner kick. Is he going to comfort? Is he going to stay on the line? What is he going to do? When he gets it at his foot, what is he going to do? Is he going to pass it to somebody, or is he going to pass it to somebody on the other team? Like the other day, I don't know what game was it. The goalkeeper kicked the ball out and hit a guy in the head and went into the back of the net. It was one of the Champions League games. I mean, it looks so foolish. And, that whole thing about playing out of the back, that all came from Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola started that. And, as soon as one manager does it and is successful with it, every manager thinks they can do it and be successful with it. But there's no guarantee that you're going to be successful, because if you don't, your man with the ball at his feet, not that great. Great. I wouldn't think that the lads in front of him are very confident.
No, the lads in front of him or the lads watching on TV, like me and my boys, not very confident at all. But all right, having said all that, Manchester City at home versus Chelsea. Tommy, give me a prediction if you had to make one. What you do today?
2-2.
All right.
2-2. And if you're asking me which team am I favoring, I'm giving a 2-2 draw because there's huge odds on it, and I'm involved in that with Rodney about, picks with the pundits, and I'm way in front of him. So I'm taking a little calculated risk here. But if I was asked to go into a bookie's office somewhere in England or Ireland tomorrow and put hard cash down on the counter, the hard cash would be going on Chelsea.
There you go. You heard it from the man himself, Tommy Smyth, Grumpy Pundit. You can hear him with Rodney Marsh on channel 157 on Sirius XM. And also just check it out. They got I have seen some clips on YouTube and everything with you guys. But great show. I listen to it all the time. You should as well. Tommy, it's great talking to you again, man. Appreciate all your knowledge and your opinions, man. And the fans love you as well.
Thank you very much. Great pleasure. Anytime, all you have to do is dial my number and I'll answer you. All right.
I love it. Love it. Rod Groves, believe in Chelsea FC, guys. You know how it goes. Let's get it, Blues.